Hi grades 3. Today we're going to learn about again time. So for the next couple of weeks we'll be working with time, but today we are going to learn about how to find how much time has passed. So if we start something at, let's say we start our school at 9 o'clock, and by the time we come back from our recess, how much time has passed, just for an example. Okay, so let's look at, so I am looking at grades 3. I want you to grab your math textbooks and math workbooks. Okay, and I am looking at page 80 and 81 in your textbook, and then in your workbook you will be working on exercise 37. You will find it on page 111. It goes all the way to 112. Okay, so we are going to look at, so for this one, for this lesson, I would like you to use your textbook because I will be working with you guys on question 3 on page 80 and question 4. Okay, just to start us off. So page 80, question 3 and question 4. Now, we are going to start with, first of all, I'm going to show you these two clocks. You can see these two clocks, and I am going to set the timer. So it says right now, let's say we put our food in the microwave at 4:50. Okay, so at 4:50 p.m. we are home and we're hungry, and I put my food in the microwave at 4:50. Okay, so remember from last lesson, my shorthand tells the hour, my longhand tells the minute. If my longhand is at 10 and I'm going to cover up this minute, this number that shows us the minute, I'm going to ask you, we use 5 times table, and 5 times 10 gives me what? 50, right? So that means the hour is, so it's 4 o'clock, and how many minutes have passed? 50 minutes. So the time is 4:50. Okay, so 50 minutes, and the hour is 4 or 50 minutes past 4. Now, we are going, so I set the microwave, and at 4:50 I'm really hungry, and I put the food in the microwave, and it's 4:50. Now, when I get back to my food, when I actually start eating, it is, so here's where I put my food, right, in the microwave. But by the time, then I got busy doing something, okay? I don't know, I was cleaning my room, or I started reading, and then I forgot what time it is. And by the time I actually get to my food, it is, that's the time. It is 5, this should have moved, okay? By the time I actually get to eating, it's 5:15 p.m. Now, I ask you, how much time has passed? I had put my food in the microwave at 4:50, and by the time I actually get to it, it is 5:15 p.m. How much time has passed? That's what we're going to find out, okay? So our clock, remember, this was our starting time, 4:50. But then our time moved from 4:50 to 5:15. How much time has passed? First of all, do you think it's going to be, am I going to tell my time in hours or in minutes? Okay, so let's find out if you're going to actually, if the time that has passed, if the elapsed time is actually in minutes or an hour. So I was at 4:50, 4:55. As soon as my minute hand hits 12, it's going to be 5 o'clock, right? So I was at 4:50, then I went to 4:55. Oh, then it's 5 o'clock, right? And then 5 after 5, right? So 5 minutes, then 10 minutes, then 10 minutes, and then 15 minutes, right? So 5:15. That's where my hand went, right? My long hand went to 5:15, which means how many minutes passed? 5, because my hand was here. So 5 minutes, 10 minutes, because each of these is, we are step counting by 5, remember? So we can count by 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and 25 minutes. That means how many minutes have passed? 25 minutes have passed, and that's when I got to my food. I'm sorry, this hand doesn't want to stay here. Okay, so I started at 4:50, and by the time I actually got to my food, it's been 25 minutes. So I just found out how much time had passed. So 25 minutes had passed all the way from 4:50 to 5:15 p.m. Does that make sense? So at what time did the timer go off? So our timer went off at 5:15. So how many minutes had passed? 25 minutes had passed. Okay, now if you look at the first example, or number 3 on page 80, they're showing us what time is 26 minutes after 9:30 a.m. So let's see, they're saying after, so what time is 26 minutes after 9:30 a.m. So we know that our starting time is 9:30. I'm looking at page 80, looking at question 3. Okay, so I'm looking at this clock, the first one. So they've given us an example and they've said it is 9:30, and if we go past 26 minutes, what time would that be? So let's count our minutes, because they're saying 26 minutes. What time would it be 26 minutes later? So right now I am at 9:30. Let's go and count all the way up to 26 minutes. So we're going to count by 5s, and then we're going to count by 1s, because these spikes, we are counting by 1s when we come to these spikes. Okay, so the big numbers we count by 5s, the tiny number or the tiny spikes by 1s. So let's go. We need to count 26 minutes later. So it's 9:30. You got to school 26 minutes later. What time would the clock show? Okay, so let's go 26 minutes. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, right at 11 o'clock. When the minute hand is at 11, it's 25 minutes. And then I need to count by 1s, because we need to see what time would it be 26 minutes later. So I'm going to move my minute hand to the first spike. Okay, so 26 minutes later, I started at 9:30. I started at 9:30. 26 minutes later, it would be 10:55. Would that be correct? No, because if it was 10:55, then my minute hand would be exactly at 11. Not a minute here, not a minute there. So 10, not 10:55, but 10:56. That is what that second clock is showing. So 26 minutes later, I start, let's say I'm walking to school, okay? So I leave my home at 9:30. It takes me 26 minutes to get to school. What time would I get to school? I would get to school at 10:56 a.m. Okay, does that make sense? So that is question 3. Now let's look at task 4. So this is your task 4. I'm still on page 80. Okay, and for this one, I would like you to tell both start time and end time. Okay, in both of these tasks, I would like you to tell me the starting time and the ending time. For example, it's saying, so I would like you to tell me, okay, 9:30 a.m. and 10:56 p.m. or sorry, 10:56 a.m. Okay, when you're doing these questions. So I would like you to tell me both the start and end time in both of these tasks, so 3 and 4. Okay, and then, so now if you notice, for this one, in task 4, okay, so our starting time is how many minutes are there in 1 hour. So the clock is at 4. The clock is at 4. Okay, it's right at 4 o'clock. It's right 4 o'clock. It doesn't want to move. Okay, so it's right at 4 o'clock. And they're saying, what time would it be 1 hour later? So if it's 1 hour later, if it's 4 o'clock, 1 hour later, it would be 5 o'clock. Does that make sense? It would be 5 o'clock. Now look, if you notice, our minute hand, it didn't change, right? The minute stays the same and only the hour changes. Okay, does that make sense? Only the minute hand moves around once to the same place it started. So it moves, so let's say our time was here and then it just moved here. Okay, so an hour later, so my clock went around, so it was 4 o'clock, right? And then my minute kept moving. It's moving still, moving. Oh, it's 5 o'clock. Does that make sense? So an hour later, if we start at 4 o'clock, an hour later, it would be 5 o'clock. Okay, both of these tasks, number 4 on page 80, both of these, they're going to ask you for the hour, or tell me the hour. Does that make sense? Now let's look at a few other examples. Okay, let's say we are going to drive somewhere. Let's say we're going to the park. Okay, and let's say we leave at 11:15. Okay, so let's say at 11:15 we are going to leave, and then let's say we come back at 3:15. Okay, we come back home at 3:15. Okay, remember, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and 15 minutes. So at 3:15, we come back. Okay, this is my starting time. I start at 11:15 a.m. and then I end at 3:15 p.m. Notice I said a.m. and p.m. Does that make sense? When we are, when we start our day actually starts right 12 midnight. Okay, at night, 12 midnight is the start of the day. Okay, so when we start after that, after midnight, we start to say it's a.m. And our a.m. time goes all the way to 12 in noon. So 12 in the afternoon is our a.m. time. After 12 in the afternoon, we do not say 1 a.m. because 1 a.m. would mean, oh, it's actually nighttime. Even though our day has started, but we would say it's a.m. if it's after midnight, okay? And then p.m. after noon hour. Okay, so 12 noon, after 12 noon, we move into PM. So I started my day at 11:15. I went to the park, and then let's say I got home at 3:15. Okay, let's say, so how much time do you think has passed? Okay, so let's look at this. So how much time has passed since the, so let's write down our hour. 11:15 and 3:5. This is AM and this is PM. And I want you to quickly take a minute to do this with your parents, or do it by yourself if you can. Okay, and I want you to try to figure out how much time has passed. So since the minutes, if you pay attention, the minute hand stays where it is. So because this is 3:15 and this is 11:15. So the minute hand, we can just leave it as it is. We don't need to count the minutes because it's the same minutes, 11:15 and 3:15. All we can do is we can quickly count the hours. That's right. So I'm going to say 1 hour, 2 hour. Let's count it on here because that's much easier. So you can see we went all the way from 11 to 3. So we were here at 11. At 12:15, it would be 1 hour. So 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and 4 hours. So watch this. 11:15, 12:15, 1 hour, 1:15, 2 hours, 2:15, 3 hours, and 3:15, 4 hours. So how many hours have passed? Because our minutes didn't change, we were still 11:15 to 3:15, we only counted up the hours. Does that make sense? So we can simply count up the hours, but we have to switch after 12 back to 1. Okay, so after 12, so 11:15, 12:15, 1:15, 2:15. But remember, as our in actual clock, this would have been happening. So if it's here, I would have moved all the way. So 12:15, it would have stayed the same, 12:15. And then, but this would have come all the way around to move to 1:15, then 2:15, and then 3:15. Does that make sense? So how many hours have passed? 4 hours. Okay. So that's how we find out how much time has passed. Okay. So on that note, grade 3.